Hi everyone! So, welcome back. Today's video is going to be about writing tips because if you didn't know already, I love poetry and I love storytelling, and I want to share some of the things that helped me improve my writing. And so if you're a writer or if you want to be a writer, maybe these things will help you. And yeah, let's get on with the video. Okay, so my first tip for my writers out there is just to actively search for new things to learn, listen to, and read and experience. And I think that's just so important for the development of becoming a writer, is just to learn like different perspectives and just to dive into like different categories. So I love doing that by listening to audiobooks. I love TED Talks, and I love going on walks, so it helps me to, multitask. And yeah, so, and sometimes, no, okay, normally I would listen to music when I go on a walk, but I don't know if it's just me, but sometimes music can be like overstimulating, so I love to listen to audiobooks and podcasts because it's just more low-key, and yeah, and it's just very educational. That's what I love. I love TED Talks, like I said, and I love self-help podcasts too. Somehow those really help me to get inspiration for writing. So yeah. And as for books, I love The Hunger Games. I'm about to read the third book, so yeah, I love action, but I also love those books set in the Victorian eras. I'm a bit of a fangirl when it comes to those kinds of things. So I'm reading Mansfield Park by Jane Austen right now. So that's also been really interesting, and I've done a lot of research. I've been learning a lot about like the 1800s, which is really cool. But yeah, and I think it's also important to go out and just experience, whether it be volunteering or speaking to as many people as you can, just like having those conversations with people. It doesn't have to be, okay, you don't have to have, deep conversations all the time to be able to come up with something profound to write about, right? You can just take inspiration from daily conversation. It doesn't have to be, like trauma dumping, I don't know. But yeah, in a nutshell, just learn as much as you can, read as much as you can, and experience as much as you can. That's all I can say. Okay, so my second tip would be to meditate. And I just think that meditation helps me clear my head before writing, because if I try to put my pen to paper and my head is just filled with stresses and worries, then I'm gonna freeze. I'm not gonna be able to get anything down. So yeah, but honestly, every writer has a different process. That's just mine. But if that's something you're willing to try, then by all means. It's helped me a lot personally. And I love listening to guided meditations, especially with this one guy. I forget his name, but he's very descriptive with the language that he uses, and it's honestly helped me a lot with my vocabulary too. So I can link him down below if you're interested in listening to him as, guided meditation. But yeah, meditate. Okay, so my third tip would just be to pay close attention to song lyrics. For me personally, a lot of the songs that I listen to help me write my stories and my poems. And you can you can replicate the mood or tone of the song, but you can also write a response to it, which is really cool. I've done that before. I've written responses to songs, and so, for example, if it's a sad song, right? And I would try to write something that would potentially comfort the person singing the song. So you can also do that. Okay, so my fourth tip would just be to remember that quality matters so much over quantity. And I think that, with the rise of writers on Instagram and on social media in general, I think it's easy to get caught up on, numbers like followers, views, likes, things like that, and, how many people actually interact with what you're writing. But I think that just takes away from your own purpose, Like, why do you write? You don't write for likes and views, right? You write to write something special that can help people, or something that people can relate to, right? How, like, for whatever reason you write, it's not because of likes and views. And I think that it's very easy to get caught up on that, and that doesn't define your success as a writer, And I used to get really caught up on that, and I used to think like, okay, like if I post like 5-6 poems a day, then that'll make me a more successful poet. But the truth is, I didn't really care about those poems that I wrote about at that time, when like likes and views were all that I cared about, right? So I didn't really care about those poems. And when I began to realize the importance of my work and the impact it actually had, whether it be, 2 people or 1 person, it doesn't have to be a big crowd. Once I realized my impact, I began to write. This might sound cheesy, but from the heart, okay? And I began to write about things that I actually cared about, and things that were actually important to me. And yeah, maybe I wasn't putting maybe I'm not putting 5 or 6 poems a day anymore, Maybe I'm not writing, I'm not posting as much, but I am putting more effort into my work, right? Because it takes a couple seconds to post something, and it takes a couple seconds to write a little poem, and I can put a lot of those out there, right? But it didn't take a lot of effort. When back then, the story I was telling, it didn't take much effort, right? I was just posting a lot, and honestly, I archived those poems because I don't care about them. And when I read them, it was like, wow, this is very shallow. And I now I write about something I actually care about, and it feels so good. And okay, I'm kind of rambling, but it's true. It does feel good to write something you actually care about, and something you've put a lot of thought into. And maybe it doesn't happen every day. Maybe it doesn't happen every week. Maybe it doesn't happen every month. But the fact that it does happen, the fact that you do write and share something so close to your heart, is way more important than, than posting about things that you don't necessarily care about and you just want attention for. And, maybe you do post a lot of poems, or you do post a lot of your writing, whatever it is you do, every day, and you do put a lot of effort into your work, and you do care about that. That's important. So yeah, but the point is that however much you put, however much you put out there, you prioritize its quality over quantity, right? My last tip would just be to support other writers, and I think out of all my tips, this is probably the easiest one, but so many people are so reluctant to do it. But honestly, like, supporting other writers helps you become a better writer, and supporting other writers makes you a more confident writer. You know, like with anything, supporting other people makes you more confident in yourself. If you're like out here complimenting people, you'll start complimenting yourself. And and you can also learn so much from other writers by supporting them and becoming their friend. And I think that's just so important, and we should not be tearing each other apart. And there's just a big difference between tearing someone apart and giving them constructive criticism, and that's called helping. And I think I just want to see more of that in the writing community. And yeah, I'm very happy to be a part of the writing community, and I'm so lucky to have other writers who are supportive of me, and I love their work too. So I love the writing community that I have on Instagram and in real life too, with my family and some of my friends. And so yeah, I think becoming a better writer is just a collaborative effort with other writers. So yeah. Okay, that was everything for today's video. If you made it to the end, thank you so much, and I just want to wish you the best on your writing journey, whether you're already, far in your journey, or you're just beginning. Wherever you are, I wish you all the best, and I hope that these tips are able to help you the way they helped me. And as I mentioned earlier, I want to build a good writing community. So if you want to leave your comments down below for, writing tips, things that helped you, and if you want to do that, by all means, that would actually mean a lot, and I think it would help other people too. So yeah, and thank you again for watching. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!